Welcome back, members. The third session is about the topic of audit planning. Members will be wondering why it is kept after the lunch session. Only the speaker can answer that. Not taking much of time, I request our past convener Nilesh Vasa to briefly introduce this speaker.
Good afternoon, friends. Thank you, Vijay sir, for giving me the opportunity of introducing our next speaker of the day, CA Abhay Kamath sir. Abhay Kamath sir is a practicing chartered accountant since 1987. Presently, he is a partner in Messrs. Mukund M. Chitle and Company, Bombay. He is having a rich experience in taxation, company law matters, audits, and other consultancy services. During practice carried out, he has done the audit of banks, including Reserve Bank of India, State Bank of India, Export and Import Bank of India, Vijaya Bank, IDBI Bank, as well as other cooperative banks, insurance companies, and other business entities. His professional exposure includes feasibility studies, due diligence audit, credit audits, investigation, and other management consultancy services. He has held various positions in the past at various committees of professional bodies, Banking and Insurance Committee of Institute, IFRS Implementation Committee, Study Circle Committee, and panel of examiners in accountancy maintained by the Board of Studies of Institute of Chartered Accountant of India. He has delivered various lectures and seminars on various forums on taxations and financial management. He has delivered seminars at institute level, at SIRC level, BCA level, and at Company Secretaries Institute level. Other contributions are, he has contributed on bank audit report for Chartered Accountant Journal of ICAI. With this brief introduction, I would now request the chair of the day, Vijay sir, to please present a memento on behalf of Western India Regional Council of India. With a loud round of applause, we present the memento to Abhay sir. Yeah, before we start the session, just one note, I think already it has been mentioned. Those 30 people who had paid extra at BCSE level, anytime during the day, you can go downstairs. Sanjay is there. He will refund you the excess amount which has been paid earlier. So not to hurry, anytime in a day you can go by before 5:30. Now I will request Abhay sir to please take charge of the session.
Good afternoon, everybody. Respected dignitaries on the dais, seniors in the profession, my dear friends. The topic is planning for bank branch audit. You already learned the main ingredients of bank branch audit, possibly advances, then LFR. So now question arises, why planning is post-lunch session? If I say lightly, this is one session one has to take very lightly. After sumptuous lunch, people take it lightly because slowly people are coming after enjoying the food and all these things. So till that time, somebody can say Bhagavad Gita, you should do this, that, and all these things. So better to keep this session as post-lunch session. That is what possibly somebody must have thought. We as a speaker accept the invitation for speaking. And naturally, when I got this session, I was very happy. That's a lighter side of it. To be very frank, let me be very honest and apologize that it was first session. Some other program came in between, therefore I requested, I talked to the other speaker, and he was kind enough to get this adjustment. Nevertheless, what it means is planning is something which is better late than ever. So anytime you can do it, if you do it earlier, that is always better. So nevertheless, even if it is now third session after learning various major aspects of bank audit, you are going for that one. Still, it is before the audit allotment is available. I believe yesterday onwards the process has started. And therefore, we are well within time. Provided you are able to keep yourself awake and I am able to keep awake myself during the course of my lecture. Good. Now, very frankly, when I see so many senior people in front of me, I am slightly nervous, you can say, what I can tell about planning, because these people have been practicing for last number of years. And it is not only bank audit, but every audit or every walk of life, as far as the practice is concerned, we have to do a lot of planning. Ultimate, we follow the due date theory. If return has to be filed on a particular date, it has to be filed on a particular date. If tax audit is to be completed on a particular date, it has to be completed on a particular date. I don't know what is my due date. What is the time, by the way? I will be having 3:30? Okay, fine. So usually I also follow the due date, and therefore we will try to finish before 3:30. Great. Why planning is required, or planning is a most important topic as far as bank branch audit is concerned, because you have to do so many things during the short possible time. Every bank gives you, as far as possible, lesser time to audit and complete the bank. If slightly 1 or 2 days it is delayed, people start talking to you on telephone, etc., pressurize you for completing the thing. They say all other branches are completed except your branch, and therefore you try to give me all these things. So knowing all these things, then we have to be more on toes, I can say. Second aspect is, if you don't plan it properly, the likelihood that we'll miss something during the course of audit, because in bank audit, all of you will agree that transactions are repetitive, volume of transactions are too much, and therefore what should be your audit sampling, how you should approach that particular thing. And over the period, the banking has changed substantially, I can say. And therefore, right now it is no more. See, if you go by history, few years back, it was only the asset classification and provision was the main thrust area. Before that one, people used to say that bank statutory audit means balance sheet audit. You try to see what are the advances, forget about deposits and all these things, and then you try to report on that one. Way back prior to 91, you will find that there were subjective criteria that you were to sense whether this is going to be bad debts or additional provision is required. And there used to be a lot of tussle between the central statutory auditors and the bank. But now, after 91, there are objective criteria. Still there is tussle. RBI says there is a lot of divergence as compared to what your statutory auditors find out. And that is how now there is a NPA automation, you can say. That system-based asset classification has come into hook. And now, as a central statutory auditor, one has to give this certificate that this bank has got system-based asset classification. And it is on day marking. It is not no more quarterly, monthly, or with past due concept of 30 days as it was earlier. So that was the situation. Then what happened? Having got this one done, possibly that was not enough. Therefore, people started looking into test check based audit, transaction based audit. But then CBS came in play. So computerization came in play. And that CBS gave us one thing, that if you take the entire dump, there is nothing like sampling. You can analyze on certain criteria. I don't know how many of you are doing it, but it is always better to take dump of deposits, advances, or any other ledger to that extent, put it into Excel format, use Excel sorting formats, either VLOOK of general sort or whatever way you want. If the voluminous data is there, there are various softwares. IDEA is one of them which is comparatively faster. And then what do? You analyze that data, you have different criteria for analyzing that one, and try to get entire data analyzed in that fashion so that you understand what is happening in the total mass. So the transactional testing went off, and then it comes to analytical. So from transaction we shifted to analytical. Now as if that is not enough, because now computer gives you everything. I was told by somebody else, somebody asked the question and the speaker passed on to next speaker and all these things. But nowadays nobody asks the question, because they ask the question to AI, they ask the question to Meta, they ask the question to ChatGPT. Whether that answer is correct or not, I don't know. But yes, that is the method. And nowadays, that's why your kids also don't come to you for any query, because they are not sure whether you will give right answer or not, what Google can give you. And therefore, apart from this analytical thing, now people started believing in risk-based audit. So what you do, you identify what are the risk areas, and then accordingly you plan your program. So right now we are in the era of risk-based audit plan. And I think when we do the planning, possibly one has to look into this particular thing. Okay, friends, everybody must have faced this particular thing. Whatever time which is allotted to me, I will try to see that I try to take. But if at all there is anything which you can share or you want specific answer, you are most welcome. If I am able to answer that one, fine. Otherwise, it will become my homework. So, very clear understanding between you and me. Let us use this time for best possible manner. Typically, what happens? That I am just waiting till 21st of March whether I am getting bank audit or not. If somebody inquires, then next day I register for my bank audit seminar. Is it something a planning? I don't think so. So what, if at all you are feeling that you are into bank audit, whatever way it is, whether it is concurrent, internal, or possibly stock audits or statutory audit, best way is within your office, whatever limited staff you have. I don't say that it's a staff of 200 people, 400 people and all these things, but even if 5-10 people are there, you identify one person who will normally look into bank audit, who will be available in the month of April and May, because he should not go on leave. Once you identify that one, let him go through the RBI site for notifications regularly and try to flag you what are the recent things. This starts right from day one, that is April 1st. Whether you are into bank audit or not, but once you start that one, the overall office culture happens that yes, you are aware of what is happening in banking sector. And it doesn't take much time, as it is, the Artica students regularly visits various sites. So if you allocate one site to a particular person and tell him that, look, this is the site, you have to see this particular thing and come back. If you don't understand, you discuss with me. At least that exercise starts. That is as far as, this is not for this year's audit, this is for next year's audit, I'm trying to tell you, because it is not, time has gone. Now, having done that particular thing, then you try to understand that somebody inquires that whether you are ready to be a branch auditor of a particular bank. Which branch? I don't know, but at least he takes your consent. Then you try to identify the independence aspect of you, whether anybody, I'm sorry, whether any of your partner had taken loan from that bank, any of the relative of any partner had taken loan for that particular thing, or you have done any, what you can say, assignment for that bank in last 1 year. If it is so, best way is to tell that bank, look, this is the issue, and therefore I'm not able to carry out your audit, but I'll be interested into some other things. So that what happens is in the banking industry, if your firm has got a particular repute, they will be after you. If not this bank, some other bank will call you. Because even bankers also, the staff members, they want good audit firms. And when I say good audit firms, everybody's perception about good is different. Who is a good auditor? One, not that who signs on dotted line for all returns, but who knows his subject well. He is able, if he is arguing on merits, not on feelings, he is a good auditor. And that is what people want. And if at all somebody else expect goodness in some different manner, I think you are not a suitable person for that one, because ultimately you have to face, as he said, institute, disciplinary, this one, peer review, quality review, or NAFRA, or anything else. No, it's better to be very, what you can say, sacrosanct about that one. Identify that one, and then identify your independence. Once you see that you are independent of that particular bank, go ahead and then you receive the appointment letter. Appointment letter, first thing what we see, what do we see in appointment letter? Which branches are allocated? And then, how much is the advance? Why? All of you know. So that's the thing. Then, if at all there is anything like outstation branches are there, then you have got some more exercise to be done. Having done that one, my request to you, friends, is try to read each and every word of that appointment letter and note it down specifically, because what are your deliverables will come from that appointment letter. What is the format for your audit report and what are the carve-outs at branch audit, you will get to know from that appointment letter. If it is outstation audit, then what happens? The outstation audit, what are the allowances, what is the entitlement, all these things are known. Reason is, one has to be within his limit. And especially when you are the authority, you have to be more conscious of that particular thing. Mind well, if anybody tries to dispute on your out-of-pocket bills, I think that is the last thing to be happen as a professional. And therefore, one has to be very clear as far as what is my entitlement and what I should claim and what I should not claim. That is one aspect. Having done that one, no appointment letter gives you earlier auditor's name, address, and contacts. So for that purpose, you have to always contact the branch. If branch numbers are given, excellent. If not, then the appointing authority, you ask for those numbers and try to communicate with the person concerned. Initial communication will be, who is your earlier auditor, and his email ID, mobile number, and postal address, because typically we have to send the letter to him, but to expedite the process, we can send a scan copy of our letter to that person and get NOC on, what you can say, if you want to expedite further, you can call him on mobile and go ahead with that. While you are speaking, this is your first interaction with the branch manager. And always remember that the branch manager knows much more than you what banking is, because he has been living into that particular situation. So as an auditor, he will definitely try to be very hospitality and all these things will be extended. But yes, understand one thing, he knows the nuances of his operations well. Now, how do we use that particular thing for us, for our purpose? Therefore, this first communication is most important, and therefore, whosoever doing that communication, he should know what normally the banking is and present scenario of banking. So what is banking? Banking is acceptance of deposit for the purpose of either advancing or investment. That is the definition under Banking Regulation Act. Having done that one, we try to ask, advances are with you, so there is nothing more to be asked for. But one thing, those advances are possibly of December figures. Therefore, you can ask him what is the present status, how much do you expect it will be for the March end. And then you try to understand what is the composition of advances, because there are certain branches wherein they cater to the corporate clients. So corporate loans will be, the volume of loan or the amount of loan will be, loan sanction will be much more as compared to this one. Some are retail branches. So those retail branches will have, number of accounts will be more, but what you can say, the volume or the amount will be less. Possibly some other banks will have only one major account, which is there, and other things are retail loans. There is a possibility that head office has given facility to some giant corporate, and his assigned limit is over here. So these people don't have to do anything except for conveniently carrying out the operations of that account. So even if your loan portfolio figure shows higher amount, that does not mean the volume is higher. And therefore we have to understand as to what is the nature of or composition of those advances, and accordingly we can decide our strategy. Because if it is one account only, then you can concentrate, staffing can be done accordingly. If there are number of corporate accounts where the amount or the size of the loan is much more, then you have to staff it accordingly. If it's an assigned limit only, but the voluminous assigned limit is at one branch, then possibly it's a different thing. One more thing to be done is, what is the industry for which bank had advance? Because it is industry based. Sometimes some construction industry, lot of accounts are there. I'm sorry. Construction industry, if it is there, so somewhere fisheries, you get, if branch is near to the coastal side, your fisheries industry will be there. Then you have to understand the typicality of that industry. And that, if at all you are well versed beforehand, I think that is better. You can get information from the branch manager, how he assess and all these things, etc. But other than that one, you are able to assess that one properly. Next aspect is, having done that one, you ask for the deposit composition also. What is the deposit composition? Is it something that the business loans are more, business clients are more, therefore you have got a lot of current accounts, saving accounts are there, whether it's a saving accounts or term deposits of pensioners or general thing, it's a residential area or commercial area, I mean industrial area. These aspects you can ask and decide or plan accordingly, because it has got lot of influence on your audit plan. Having done that one, you can ask him about the staff, timings, convenient mode for traveling, what is the best way to come visit over there, when their returns will be ready, and then what should be the audit program, what is the sitting arrangement over there, premises capacity, how many people I can send. I cannot send 10 people together at one branch which is very small. I want to finish it off within say 2 days, but I can't do that one because there is no sufficient place. If there are bank holidays, whether people are ready to work or not. Nowadays, head office doesn't give that option, but it is better as a matter of courtesy to ask that whether your people are ready to work on holidays or not. If you know all these things, then that's the best, what you can say, groundwork for you to plan. Having done that one, as I mentioned to you, appointment letter has to be read very, very clearly and with proper understanding. What it means, what is the final deliverable? Because ultimately, what are your products? Your product is your audit report, SS 700, LFAR, tax audit details to be certified, then certifications, and if there are any certifications specifically for subvention scheme, those things will be there. Knowing that, you should be able to chalk down an activity chart accordingly, that what you will do and who will do what. Having known this one, first thing and foremost thing is you have to write to the previous auditor, try to get his NOC. Acceptance letter has to be sent. Along with acceptance letter, you are supposed to give certain declarations. Those declarations also you can give. Prepare introduction letter for your audit team, who will be going before the audit, branch management. And that should be ready. This is a paperwork to be done. Then next step is, of course, first before introduction letter, it will be planning the audit team. Because who will go over there and their availability, their convenience, etc. Talk to each person if at all you are going outstation, and try to see that everybody is in comfort situation to visit over there. Having done that one, if at all you have got some time in between, try to have some training session for these people. Or reading time, desk study, some time for that one, at least 1 or 2 days. Reason is, they should study. Institute had come out with very good background material. I am sure everybody is carrying right now that one. You also read it and make your staff members to read it. Otherwise, usually what happens when I become senior, I definitely collect that particular booklet, but then subsequently I'll transfer it to my junior and say that read it properly, you have to carry out the bank audit. So both of us need to know what is the thing, what are the contents over there. Fortunately, Institute had taken a lot of efforts in bank branch audit. As I say, at regional level, this is a publication which is every year publication for last 20 years, I believe, at least. And WRC is coming out with this. Looking at WRC, so many other regional councils also have started this particular thing. That was a good point out of that. There is a guidance note which Institute has published that is available on site in soft form. So those who normally, because nowadays we carry electronic mode or laptop. So that can be also stored as one of the reference material. RBI site is also available. So there are certain notifications, at least last 1 year, what are the major notifications, they should be identified. And then let them prepare some notes out of that particular thing. Having done that particular thing, then you plan for the audit communication to branch auditors when their returns will be ready. Your deliverables are the returns to be certified. Now when closing returns are to be certified, understand one thing, which are the closing returns. So serial list should be there. There are certain returns which auditor is not supposed to audit, which is not supposed to be signed. Even if branch management puts that before you for signature, don't sign that particular thing. Be clear what you are going to sign. That is one aspect. When these returns will be ready, because what happens usually under CBS system, there is a closing procedure at head office level or a computer system, computer department. They send those returns branch-wise to the branch, and on that basis the returns are prepared. It's a reverse Ganga, you can say. Ideally what happens in pyramid approach, the branches gets consolidated at regional level, regional to zonal, zonal to module level, and module to final head office level. So whatever you are certifying at the bottom of it, the central statutory auditor is much more dependent on you. You in a sense, branch auditor. And therefore I always, it resembles with your dahi handi. In Krishnashtami you have got that handi, this one, wherein it's a layer of people who stand one above another. So understand one thing, if the bottom line person falters, will you be able to achieve that handi properly? Okay. Secondly, this bottom line person is not able to see that ultimate moment of joy because he has to concentrate on what job he has been assigned to. And therefore, if you identify within the team proper responsibilities and accountability to every person, possibly as a branch auditor, you will be able to certify the things in a much more better way as compared to if it is done in haphazard manner. That is the reason why planning we are discussing. Some of the aspects people will feel that I am trying to say is the best principle or theoretical principles. So people say that it's very easy. It is good for big firm to divide the work and do all this. We generally do one thing, the partner or the proprietor concerned, he gets one assistant, goes over there and does everything over there. Friends, if at all the responsibilities and overall picture is clear with your junior also, he will help you in a better fashion. And therefore, that knowledge dissipation is more important as compared to merely keeping everything to central level. That is my experience by and large. I'll deal with this particular as I go ahead. So having done that one, no, no. So therefore planning stage, one is pre-audit, during the audit, and post-audit. Now pre-audit we have seen many things. Then during the audit, we will see. And post-audit is more or less reporting basis. So during the audit, when you go for audit, try to see that each and every aspect is attended to. I'll try to see if you, I don't know whether I should ask this awkward question to everyone, but how many of you have read full balance sheet of the bank's annual report? Okay, I'll say people don't want to give open answer for this particular thing. What it means is we have to see that particular thing, and that thing is available on your site. So whatever bank you are doing, branch you are doing, if you don't read or refer to annual report of that bank, at least for last year, how you are going to say that the accounting policies are consistently followed? Right? We always blame people saying that appointment is done at the last moment. We try to see that time available at the branch is very less. That does not mean we should not study all these things. So therefore, friends, I say, slightly go beyond your limits. Try to see that annual report. Annual report will give you various things. How many of you have visited the site of that bank? Have you tried to see that whether there is any press release, any press note, any penalty which is there? Most of the banks are your listed banks. So corporate actions, have you seen that? Please see that. This is not something to tell you with the approach that holier than thou, I know it, you are not doing it. I am also a part of it. This is out of the experience, one learns that this is also essential. And now, understand one thing, gone are the days what we were doing few years back. Now what is most important is you have to adopt and adapt to the technology also right now. Right now, if you try to say, I don't prepare PPT, and especially for post-lunch session, I never display it also. Why? Because when you put on PPT, the lights are off or dim, and dim light gives rise to something else. So that's why no PPT. But yes, if you tell someone to prepare the PPT, people can prepare it in 5 minutes. Nowadays, artificial, this Chat GPT gives you presentation on bank audit. If I want an LFAR, within 5 minutes it gets popped up. I won't mind doing that one within the office. Reason is, that's an educational material, but try to see that the contents which you are passing to somebody else are correct. Chat GPT is not ultimate Bhagwan. So therefore, try to see that. Coming back to this particular thing, that now you have to have the different approach also. Now, merely advances, provisioning, etc., they are important. But apart from that one, what is more important is now deposits, their KYC compliance, anti-money laundering. What are the measures? Exceptional reports. Then those transactions, suspicious transaction report, STP. So these are more important. So rather than going and taking the ledger and calculating the interest, etc., you ask the branch management straight away that show me your exceptional report. How do you deal with exceptional report? It's a questioning straight away. How do you analyze how these STPs are reported? What do you do if at all, how many accounts are not having KYC compliance? How many accounts are having only Form 60? You can understand the overall composition, wherein if at all you find that 50% of the people are not having permanent account number. That's an odd situation nowadays. So merely Form 60 is not enough, but you have to apply your logic. And from that angle, you can go ahead questioning and forming your opinion as far as the operations at the branch is concerned. Okay, then we come to slightly later, that is borrowings. Of course, at branch level it will not be there. Then you have got other liabilities and other assets. These are most important account in any branch audit according to me. Even bank as a statutory auditor. Reason is, nowadays Reserve Bank of India had come out with the circular that office accounts have to be monitored properly. There should not be proper, pendency, and the reporting of pending entries has to be done to audit committee. If at all that is the situation, analyze those accounts very thoroughly. Don't merely see that the balance is zero, that means this account need not be seen. There is a possibility, since you have done NPA, in case of NPA, out of order, there are three criteria for cash credit accounts. One is continuously overdrawn for 90 days. Second one is there are no operations in last 90 days, or your credits are not enough to cover the interest debited to that account for last 90 days. Now interest is getting debited. Whether it is covering, credits are covering or not, if there is a shortfall, and as a notorious branch manager, I pass one entry from sundry account debit to credit to that particular account, what will happen? It will be naturally, system will throw it out of NPA clutches. But is it really performing account? No, it's a fraud. And as an auditor, we have to look into this particular. Of course, fraud, I think some discussion was there. But in case of fraud, if there is fraud for more than 1 crore rupees, as a central statutory, if we notice, then it has to be intimated to central government within 90 days. So there is a process involved. NAFRA has got given the circular for, I think last year June, 26 June 24. I'm sorry, not 24, 23. 23, wherein as an auditor we have to intimate that one. Less than 1 crore, it has to be intimated to audit committee. So therefore you have to be very watchful as far as the frauds are concerned. If you suspect some fraud, please mention that one. When Mr. Sanjgiri mentioned that if you have got doubt, you mention it, you pass it on to Central Statutory Auditor. I'm not trying to say that you pass it on to Central Statutory, but communication has to be there. So there has to be proper communication. But communication cannot be such, saying that these are the facts and the proper view should be taken at the Central Statutory Audit level. It doesn't, you don't form your opinion on the basis of facts. As an auditor, whether it is branch auditor or Central Statutory Auditor, he has to form his opinion because your reporting has got two limbs, statement of facts and statement of opinion. If you read SA 700 standard format for audit report, it has got two parts, statement of facts and statement of opinion, and that facts should be clear, but at the same time you should be able to form your opinion on the basis of the requirement of whether it is reasonable assurance, limited assurance or negative assurance. Adverse and all these things are different one as far as reporting is concerned. So I believe that you have to take care during the course of it, and therefore other assets and other liabilities, please scrutinize these accounts very thoroughly. As far as cash bank is concerned, I think a lot of discussion must have happened during the course of discussion for LFR. This year, the reasonability of cash balance is one topic which has gained a lot of importance because of some news from some banks. Whether your branch is having beyond reasonable limit cash balance which is consistently carried, just try to see that. You are there for few days only, but during that day, those days are enough, if at all you are vigilant enough, your antennas are open to understand what is happening in the bank. See, you are sitting before, I'm sharing certain practical situations which will give you some impetus, you can say. You are sitting before the branch manager, phone call comes, he says, हाँ देखते देखते अभी तो ऑडिट चल रहे हैं ना, एक बार ये खत्म होने तो बाद में देखते. you understand what is happening, what somebody else is requesting for. Communication within the branch, usually it is with the branch manager. As a center secretary, I go as a not center, branch auditor partner. I sit in his cabin. Cabin is, nowadays of course all branches are there. Previously it used to happen that the branch manager's cabin used to be AC and others were under the fan. So then you take a pride in sitting in the AC cabin, discussing with him. I don't feel that is the right way, because ladai karna hai to maidan mein karo na. So if at all you have to do audit, don't wait that somebody gives you file over there, go to the file. Sit before some officer who is clearing the files. So you understand very clearly, you sense what is happening. Take out half an hour during the banking hours and have just calm and quiet round in the customer hall. You get to know so many things. Counter clerk, whether there is a quarrel between the counter clerk and the customer, what is the issue, gives you a lot of things for audit purpose, lot of material I can say for audit purpose, by which you understand one thing. If you go systematically, you will take 10 to 15 days. But I have to finish that particular thing. I have to do certain thing smartly and with intuitions. And that intuition is most important as far as the bank branch audit is concerned. That you should be able to judge that now, okay, what is happening over here. And second thing, don't merely go there, do certain thing, checking and all these things. You should be able to show off that you know your subject well. I can quote you one thing, forget that here I am not important. The instance is important and therefore I am mentioning that one. I was at one particular bank, branch, and there I have got the habit that whenever people say, let us go for lunch together, the branch manager says, we will go. As far as possible, I say that if you could order something over here, that is better because time is saved. Otherwise what happens, the time you enter into hotel, decide the order, and the order is delivered to you, food is delivered to you, that time is very crucial time. And usually what happens, if you don't have proper agenda in your mind, the branch manager starts asking you how many partners you are, what are the best accounts with you are, whether they need any assistance of advances, you can refer to us, we have got this scheme, we can have referral schemes and all this. He try to tempt you for something else rather than discussing on the branch per se. So I have proper agenda, but before that time, whenever such things happen, I got a habit of having round in the branch and there I noticed to write the paying slip, they have got such type of table, counter, and below that one there was cupboard. Cupboard was not locked. I just casually opened that one. Since it was open, I was not trying to steal anything out of that one. So I can open that one and keep it. And as an auditor, I have got right for inquiry. So I opened the door. To my surprise, I found unused stationery for drafts and certain checkbooks, fixed deposit receipts. I kept it close. We went for lunch. While coming from the lunch, because I had not deliberately, because you should not be disturbing somebody at the time of lunch. That is what is Hindu mythology says. And therefore I said, while coming from this one lunch, I said, manager, how do you take care of your sensitive stationery? This is called as sensitive stationery. So I said, it's in the lock and key, in the supervision of one person, he is there. I can meet you over there. I said, fine, but how the storage is taken care of? He said, it's in lock and key. While I was entering into branch, I had taken him to that particular cupboard and tried to show that this is the position. If it is his customer hall, such type of open stationery with open doors, I think that is not a custody of or the security of that particular thing. Now this is not written somewhere, but this is your thought process which provokes you to tell this one. The branch manager understands that you mean your business properly, so you have got that eye. And if at all you show one or two instances like this one during the course of the audit, he will not take you for granted. That much is definite. So that respect is tremendously different as compared to 40 days. So while we are doing this particular cash and bank, etc., within the cash also, I don't know whether you have observed this particular thing is, we said there is a joint custody of the cash. We go to the branch manager, we are sitting with that one initial day. He is extending his tea or coffee courtesy to you. You are taking that one. Meantime, the cashier comes to you. Good morning, sir. These are the auditors, वगैरह वगैरह introduction हो जाता है. And then he says, sir, your keys. He opens the drawer. Keys are taken out. He goes, takes the cash out, locks it properly, and brings that key and keep it in his drawer. Now what happens? We say that there is a effective joint custody of cash. Can you say this is effective joint custody of cash? Whether to report or not is your choice, but at least you should point out to that gentleman, at least in front of me, don't do that. You can't take me for granted so much. That's the thing. And therefore, I always say that bank audit, technically you should be sound, no doubt about that one, and everybody of us, one who passes CA finally, he is not a dumb person. But what happens is, right thing at right point of time is most important, whether we are doing it properly, and therefore, technically we are sound. Only thing is that during that course, behaviorally whether we are sound or not, that we need to see. And that is what I think is a skill. You have to go on developing that particular thing. Otherwise what happens, we are busy with our work, people say, अरे वो auditor कोई बैठा है, ठीक है, manager देख लेगा. So your value is, एक annual function है, once he signs, and therefore, usually, that is another thing usually I say, that you sign all documents together. Usually bank manager says, sir वो nil return है ना, पहले sign करके बाजू करेंगे. Not applicable वाला बाजू रखेंगे. Then whatever you complete, you sign it and immediately finish it off. So that we don't have any. I say, forget all these things. Keep 3 to 4 hours at the last day. Plan your return journey accordingly. Before that one, end your work according to that particular thing. And those 4 hours, you can make everyone stamping भी हो जाएगा, signing भी हो जाएगा, यूनियन भी डालेंगे, सब करेंगे. But that is what is required. And before that one, you should have draft report ready, because if you start drafting report at that point of time, possibly your concentration is different, and therefore all this draft report, MRL, etc., keep it ready. That is what is desk ready. Audit planning is required over there. Fine. Then, as far as the reporting is concerned, now LFR, I think LFR there is a separate session, so I will not go deep into it. But LFR requires at least 15 different information from the branch management. That is pending reconciliation item for more than 3 months. Then aging analysis of other assets and other liabilities, bills payable, stationery stamps, what are the things, etc. Then you have got bank guarantees invoked, funded, not funded, etc. All these things are there. So there are around 15 tables you have to get it from the branch management. Tell him beforehand that I need these tables. He knows it. Because LFR is not something, it has not revised right from 2002 right up, 2002 to 2021, it was not revised. 21 it got revised. So that's a different issue. So 21 onwards also there is no much difference as far as those details are concerned. Therefore tell him, but what is most important is the advances which are more than 10 crores, there is one annexure to be filled in which is supposed to be given by the branch management. That annexure runs into 6 to 7 pages. And that has to be prepared because it has got various data to be filled in. So tell your branch manager first day that those annexures should be ready on the very first day. Get the list that how many such accounts are there more than 10 crores and keep track as to how many they are completing on regular basis. If they are not ready, no need to sign any document. Because usual practices are, branch manager will tell you that look, you finish off the returns, LFR you can submit after 4 days. You give your report and then ultimately while finalizing the LFR you find that there is some item which has got impact on true and fairness of the financial statement. What you will do? You don't have the chance. That is one thing. And secondly, as I always say, that till this time you sign the returns, give report, etc., you are gods and goddesses over there. Post that, it depends on you and the branch management. So never give any chance to anybody to misinterpret your position differently than what you should have. So signing, at the end of it, everything has to be there. Take MRL sign first, start signing the thing. If you feel you are not able to get your train or plane in time, you tell him to postpone that particular thing, cancel that one, whatever it is. Talk to head office people that because of this one it is getting delayed and therefore I am compelled to do this. But don't do anything in a hastily manner. So that is as far as the execution of audit is concerned. Advances I have not dealt in detail because that's a separate topic by itself. Similarly, I think NPA is also another topic, so that is not an issue. Okay. Next one is reporting. And that is the most important and crucial aspect of our planning. We should plan for that one. Ultimately, what is the product which we deliver to our client bank is these audit reports. Otherwise, other products are of bank, returns are of bank. My report is my product. So how much time do you spend on this report? It cannot be merely take the standard format, change the year, date, or take UD and finish it off. Try to see each and every line of it is correct. Wherever it is I stroke we, don't keep anything, what you can say, pending for the judgment of the reader. If it is we as a firm, then we. If it is I as an individual signing it, then I. Last, whenever opinion paragraphs come, it says that the balance sheet is the true position of assets and liabilities as on a particular date. And as far as the profit and loss account is concerned, it's a true position of profit stroke loss for the year ended so and so. In the hurry, sometimes we forget to strike out either of them, either profit or loss. Now that becomes a point of talk on your audit quality. It's not something that you do it deliberately, but if it's a miss because of time pressure, because of some other things, there's a problem. And therefore I always say that these aspects should note it down properly, that what is the thing, last thing, what are the checkpoints for my audit finalization, and then keep it. And therefore that initial desk study, when you are reading your appointment letter, whatever you note, that becomes most important. As far as the balance sheet is concerned and the returns are concerned, try to see that the figures do match. There is no difference. Advances schedule, advances at least 5 to 6 schedules are there. Either you have got security-wise classification, then period-wise classification, priority sector, non-priority sector, etc. So 6 to 7 schedules are there. Now those schedule figure per se, similarly NPAs, whatever total figure of advances should match with your balance sheet. And if there is a difference, please correct it. Because that's not correct. Ultimately, human being is doing it. I cannot go to the step saying that all 4 sets have to be compared. But yes, ideally, if you feel that the concerned person is not capable of doing it, one has to identify a person for comparing purpose also. That all 4 sets, the figure should be same. Otherwise, there will be problem. Now, having done all these things, then what happens is we deliver that particular thing and finally. If there are memorandum of changes, that's a crucial thing. If you don't give, you are a good auditor. Your branch manager is happy. If you even sound him, that memorandum of changes are there and therefore you have to carry out those things. Sometimes what happens, either willingly or unwillingly or with the direction of the higher management, branch manager don't accept for that one. So he's supposed to sign. Even if he doesn't sign, you have to give your MOC, but take care that your logic has to be very clear appended along with that MOC. Why you are giving that MOC? Because an usual flow is the facts, then legal provision. Say for example, particular account is not classified as NPA and you want it to be classified as NPA. Give the proper facts which made you to conclude that it is NPA. What is the paragraph in NPA master circular, IRAC master circular? Then where there is a difference, and finally, what is your conclusion? What is the resultant MOC for that one? Say, for example, my balance is 10 crores, which is classified as standard. Now, I want this one to be shifted to substandard. So, I will say all these things, but within that one, unrecovered interest is, say, out of 10 lakhs, 1 lakh rupees. Then what will happen? My conclusion will be different. My MOC will be the unrealized interest has to be reversed, because you cannot account for interest if it is not realized in case of NP account. So my profit and loss account will have impact of 1 lakh rupees. The income gets reversed, so my profit gets reduced. And as far as suggestive provision is concerned, it is not 1 lakh being 10% of 10 lakhs. It will be 90,000 of 9 lakhs, 10%, right? So have logic for that one, whatever MOC is to be. Merely saying that this needs to be classified as substandard and therefore 10% additional provision should be made may not be correct MOC. And mind well one thing, because from the experience as a central statutory auditor, I can tell you that at central office level, from auditing fraternity, only central statutory auditor is there. But from banking side, there are 10 to 15 functionaries who will be arguing against the auditor, he had not understood properly, he had reported wrongly, whatever they want to say, because you are not in front of him. So that is the thing, and therefore, the communication has to be more clear, you can say, into that one. Having said this particular thing, one or two may not be official, but unofficial as a, what you can say, brotherhood solution for suggestions for you, is sometimes we have got the habit that we go to particular outstation audit, the branch in the first visit he says, sir, nearby ye hai, nearby these things are there, we can arrange for the car, you can go in the morning and by evening you can return nicely, we'll arrange for food and everything, my officer will be with you and all. Whether to say yes or no, I leave it to you. Try to see this, that you get sufficient time on your table. Because other party thinks that as long as you are out of table, they are happy. And another thing presently because of social media, that even if you visit someone, while posting the photographs, be reasonable, that don't say that enjoyed audit of so-and-so bank at so-and-so branch, visited so-and-so. So people feel you just enjoy over there, not on table. Friends, these were few practical tips. I know I'm not going, what you can say, systematically. I think that is given over here because my job is not to give you theoretical things. But even if either from this angle or from any other aspects in the bank audit, if you have got any question, any query, you're most welcome to do that one. Possibly I have got another 10 to 15 minutes. I will be happy to have interactive session for that one. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for such a wonderful session. If any members have got any queries regarding audit planning, can ask.
See, the equation will not be exactly at we have learned in our school days, that Kal, Kam, Veg, Ganit. No, that's the thing. So what happens, what is most important is, your question is absolutely right, but so typically it's a 400 crores branch. What is the composition of that one? Sometimes what happens is nationalized banks, certain branches, they are having, how many accounts are there which are of higher volume? That we have to see. And the overall volume of that particular thing. Having done that one, then you can decide. If it's a corporate loan oriented branch, then you can have some senior person who is well versed with the advances, scrutiny and all this thing. If it is retail one, then fine, you can have category to category, you can decide, because some of the branches are such that you have got loan against fixed deposit. Now there is a standardized. Earlier, gold loan was simple product, but now presently, one thing rather I have missed in my lecture is for current year, I don't know, those who are going, please refer to that circular issued on gold loan, if at all you are auditing any gold loan branch. Because RBI had tried to say that 5 or 6 points they have given. On that basis, you have to ensure the quality of advances, end use of the funds. Then there is something called as bullet payment, when it can be done. How to close that account, because usually in case of gold loan, what people do is it's a rollover of the loan, which is construed as evergreening. So there has to be physical, because gold loan is given for temporary deficiencies in your fund flow. So that is one circular. Then RBI had issued one more, this one, that key fact statement has to be there. So you can find out from the branch manager how he discloses key fact statement, and that has to be intimated on quarterly basis to the customer, which shows what is the rate of interest and what is the IRR, internal rate of interest. So you cannot hide that against the charges. Third thing is, if somebody is charging penal interest, that penal interest word is in a way banned. What is required is penal interest, penal charges. So it cannot be interest. So they say that the charges will be only on defaulted amount, and it cannot be on the total balances. Sometimes what happens, stock statements are not submitted within time, 2% of the balance amount. So that RBI has objected. They said that only on defaulted amount you can apply that particular thing. So refer to that circular. So these are few things which one has to take care. Knowing this, if you know the composition, then you can staff accordingly. If you have got spare staff, ideally better to carry one extra person along with you, so that if you need anything specifically, that is one aspect. And those who can afford in office, somebody from the banking is available. Then if at all, say you have got 3 branches and 3 teams are working. Now you come across with some point where some research has to be done. So you can pass on that particular point to that person. He will study that one and come back to you. Meantime, you can carry out your work. So something this way, you can manage the time well. So the staffing is really your judgment, depending on what situation is there. It's very difficult to say sacrosanct figures that 4 people or 5 people. But yes, if you can afford to carry one, just like software company, they have got self-staff. So somebody is idle. So whenever requirement is there, they will pick him up and put it to the job. So something like that one can be planned for. See, advance against FD, the periodicity of loan is till the maturity date. So if I got 5 years FD, it can go for 5 years. Only in case of overdraft against FD, usually people try to see that it is yearly basis given and then renewed automatically along with this one, with the intimation from the borrower. In case of nationalized banks, if the borrower doesn't confirm, the borrowings or the documents get time barred within 3 years, and that is the reason why after every 2 years they go for this acknowledgement of debt, because that renews the document, so that time barred document issue legally cannot come. So typically in case of fixed deposit, it's a period of deposit will determine the period of loan. There are situations nowadays, most of the banks, they are going for auto renewal fixed deposits. Reason is, if the fixed deposit get matured, it ceases to have the earn the interest. Post that, it is supposed to have the interest at saving rate. So even your balance sheet also, disclosure wise, there is one item called mature deposits, and in your interest, the provision for interest on mature deposit, normally it is done at head office level, not at branch level, but just inquire that one where you make it. So that is there. So in such cases, this matured fixed deposit, if they are there, then that's a problematic situation, because matured fixed deposit is a demand liability and fixed deposit is a time liability. So when you work out the asset liability management, the liability which is maturing immediately, you should have asset backing for that one. So you have to hold a lot of things into your liquid assets. Therefore, as a matter of best possible asset liability management, nowadays banks say that we will have auto renewal. So accordingly, customer signs that after the end of the period, you renew this particular. Issue is, when I am having loan against that particular thing, technically, when it matures, if there is any outstanding against that one, lien marking, then it should get adjusted to my loan account. So your deposit amount gets reduced automatically, which is not good for the banker, customer. And therefore, what bank does it, whenever such type of thing is there, they take the consent of this one, lien mark is removed either on that day or earlier day, that fixed deposit auto renewal, it gets renewed, and naturally even the advance against deposit get renewed to that extent. That's a typical situation. Why I explained all these things, in case of advance against deposit, one has to be very clear how many such lien mark deposits got matured during the year, and ask the branch manager. That's why I said that it's a matter of inquiry. Ask the branch manager that how you have renewed these two things. See the process. Even in LFAR, you are supposed to report on the process by which you are doing particular thing. Even if you are there post year end for certain days, what you are supposed to do, out of your examination, inquiry, etc., how you are ascertain, or what do you feel, what is your feel, that how these things are happening. So that is what we have to report. Visit to borrower by and large is not something compulsory, but at the same time, if it is a single borrower who is having major things, and if your time is permitting so, better to do that one. But try to see that what is the way, if there are proper inspection reports, if internal or concurrent audit do visit your stock auditor is there, and those reports are there, and if you get comfort out of that one, if you have got any reason to visit that one, you can very well visit that one. And while visiting also, rather than visiting something like the established client, it's better to visit the client wherein against project some loan is given, work in progress is there. Then you understand the exact process, whether it is practically into existence or not. Suppose a developer gets a loan from the bank for constructing particular premises, suppose residential premises, then in that case, what is the progress, etc. If you want to really see that particular, and that happens to be a major loan, then you can very well do that.
Hello, am I audible? Last year, the RBI has given an option to the borrower for opting for fixed rate or a floating rate. Means they can change because of the increase in the interest rate, correct? So in that case, when a borrower opts for a change in the rate of interest from floating to fixed or fixed to floating, as an auditor, what all things an auditor should ensure that the updated EMI schedule has been calculated as per the app, considering all the facts and the rates of interest, correct rate of interest.
Any reaction on this? Any addendum, any supplement? See, the borrower can opt for either fixed rate. So bank says that PLR plus something. Fixed means not exactly fixed, 15%, 14%, etc. Bank has got primary lending rate plus margin. So that is the thing. So if at all primary lending rate changes because of RBI norms, monetary policy, then the rate also changes to that extent, but that is called as fixed because your margin is fixed. 9.5% plus say 5, so 14.5. If 9.5 becomes 9, it becomes 14. So that's a fixed rate. Floating rate is something whereby depending on various other situations, the rate also will change and bank will declare that one time and time. So whether you would like to go for that one or you would like to have be fixed for that one. So that option was, last year there was specific option given because few years back what situation was there and right now whatever situation is there, there was a vast difference. So it was an opportunity given for the borrower to opt for that. Issue is, can I call this one as restructuring of loan? Because if it is restructuring of loan, there is a separate disclosure for that. Now whenever such type of thing, because of Reserve Bank of India interventions, if it is done, then it will not be construed as restructuring of loan. Sometimes even the circular specifies that one. In COVID, there was a circular, your dispensation, but there Reserve Bank of India had specifically told that this should not be construed as restructuring of loan. That is one aspect. Second thing, then how the overall repayment is structured. It is not something that you have got particular EMI and that will continue even if my term extends and all these things. So there should not be extension of terms. So amount should be recovered, or otherwise you recalibrate your EMI and then recover that amount properly. Third thing is, whenever we are saying like this particular thing, whether system has changed accordingly or not. And when the system gets changed, you also take such cases as test check cases for system-based asset classification, whether NPA classification happens automatically because there has to be a separate logic for that particular thing. The EMI has to be captured differently. The interest table has to be captured separately. So depending on that, one needs to look at it.
But in that case, the interest will change for the past period as well, or the interest is going to be changed for the going forward?
Normally prospective.
Prospective only. Yes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. As you can see, sir, none of the members have slept during the post-lunch session. This was the effect of your session lecture. I request our past convener.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry for the.
Now I request the past convener S.S. Jakelia to propose a well-deserved vote of thanks.
Thanks, Vijay, for giving me this pleasant task of proposing a well-deserved vote of thanks to the today's third speaker. I think sir has taken us very properly how to move out of the office, how to enter into the bank, how to move out of the bank and enter our office safely. So with this, I request all of you to have a well-deserved vote of thanks and join your hands together. Thank you. Break for 5 minutes.